Today I want to talk about the latest addition to Heroes of the Storm in way of characters, and that is Malthael. This guy used to be an archangel in the Diablo universe. In fact, he was the Archangel of Wisdom until he decided to go all Anakin Skywalker and join the dark side and become the Aspect of Death, which is pretty badass. But what I want to talk about today isn't his lore. I want to talk about his kit. I want to talk about his skills and his abilities and where he might fit into Heroes of the Storm in the coming months. First off, I'm not sure he's going to see a lot of competitive play in tournaments and the like. I just don't think his kit lends itself well to that high level of play. Anyway, let's talk about his trait. His trait is Reaper's Mark. This affects targets with a poison. This functions similar to Lunara's trait, which also does a poison, except that the interesting thing to note here is that this does a percent health damage tick. And this means it's going to be particularly effective against tanks, especially Cho'Gall, anyone with a really high health pool. Heroes like Leoric, Diablo, even Sonya would be susceptible to this. And I think this trait really defines the character and what role he's going to fill. Even though he's classified as a melee assassin, I don't think he's actually going to be engaging on people, leaping out of the bushes, securing those kills. Mostly because his kit lacks a lot of mobility. He has one mobility skill, and that's the W. It is Wraith Strike, and he can instantly teleport to any hero or unit that is afflicted by his trait, this Reaper's Mark, this poison. So that's his only mobility, and that's a bit of a problem for a melee assassin that's going to be in close range like that. He doesn't have a lot of escape. But what he can do is wait for the enemy team to engage. When the enemy tank dives in just ahead of the rest of their team, he can punish that engage very, very hard. To the point where the tank either has to retreat, at which point your team has the better engage on that team fight, or the enemy healers are blowing all sorts of cooldowns to try and keep their tank alive. Again, making it easier for your team to survive that fight. I think if he stays back and punishes enemy engages, that's going to be really where we see Malthael shine. And I want to quickly go over the rest of his skills. Q is Soul Rip. That provides him actually a pretty decent amount of sustain, especially when he's in lane, just clearing minion waves, because it heals for each target it hits. Now, it only heals, it only affects targets that are currently afflicted by his trait, that Reaper's Mark. But what this does is, if you hit an entire minion wave with your E ability, which is next, that's Death Shroud, it throws out a wave that applies Reaper's Mark to everything in a straight line. And the area of effect is pretty wide. But you can hit an entire minion wave with that, and then spam Soul Rip and easily heal over half your health. That's pretty incredible. It is a little mana intensive, but that's okay. We can look past that. As far as talents go, this hero has some really interesting ones. At level 1, all of them are mobility talents, and I really like this. I think this is an interesting choice. One of them increases your teleport range. Another gives you extra movement speed while mounted. That's the first time we've seen anything like that in Heroes of the Storm, and that looks particularly cool. And the third one is an active ability that increases your movement speed and allows you to ignore collision for 4 seconds. Now, that's a really interesting choice. All of those sort of do the same thing. They're all meant to give you extra mobility, but in vastly different ways. That we need to see more talents like this in Heroes of the Storm. There's also a lot of quests here. So level 4, you have your choice of a couple of quests. Hit 20 heroes with Death Shroud, permanently increase its range by 33% and reduce cooldown. I'm not going to go through all of these talents, just the particularly cool ones. This is the one I've been liking, is Black Harvest. So it apply Reaper's Mark to heroes for a total of 150 seconds. That's the quest. The reward for it is to permanently increase the duration of that damage over time effect by 2 seconds. That is huge. That's an those are extra ticks where you're doing that percent health based damage. And that's really where Malthael shines, is in punishing those tanks, taking down otherwise very hard to kill heroes. I think he's going to have an interesting place in the game. A lot of people want to talk about one of his level 16 talents as well. These are usually pretty strong, and this one here is no exception. This one's called Memento Mori. It says Reaper's Mark deals 100% increased damage after afflicting an enemy for more than 4 seconds. So if you continue attacking the same target, let's say that tank is a little, he feels good about himself and he wants to go toe-to-toe with you. After 4 seconds, every single tick is going to start critting for extra damage. And that's incredible, especially if you have that quest from earlier that increases the duration of that damage over time effect. So obviously that's very strong. Malthael looks like a good hero, and I'm looking forward to playing him in Quick Match, and maybe not so much in Hero League, because I'm not sure he's quite gonna see a lot of play there. But I'm by no means an expert. I'm not a pro, and for all I know, I could be entirely wrong. But I'm excited for the aspect of death to join the Nexus, and keep an eye out for him. I know I will be.